Again, the most important concept today will be something called symbols. Symbols are a way to reproduce something over and over again. So I'm going to make a simple kind of landscape, and then I'm going to make and put an animal from another Illustrator file in. So two main concepts today: how to use symbols and use them in your landscape, as well as how to add another Illustrator file. Like I drew, let's say, a lizard and add it to my landscape. How do I combine two Illustrator files? So of course I'm going to start by drawing a landscape. So I'm going to go File, New, and I'm going to go into my landscape mode right here. Now you can put in any size you want. Like when I am drawing for animation, a lot of times I draw a landscape that's larger than the visual size. And so we'll do this in class a little bit later, but I just wanted to talk about it right now. Let's say that I'm doing a high definition video. It's 1920 by 1080. One way that we do animation is, if you remember back in the old days of I used to watch cartoons a lot when I was a kid, and you would always see the background being repeated over and over again, right? Well, usually what I would do in Illustrator is draw a larger than the visual area. You know, you draw a landscape that's really big like that, and then you move it using an animation program through the window. So it'll actually move from this area over to maybe over here, and as it's moving, it looks like it's moving because the window is stationary, but the background is moving. That's how we do animation. So just think about that. I'm just making the normal size, but a lot of times you might want to make it bigger than long. We'll do an example of that, and we'll do a little animation. It's fun to do animation. So for now, I'm just going to make a simple landscape. Again, we'll practice a little bit of gradients. I will practice some gradients. The landscape that we draw is basically a mountain. I'm going to start with a blue sky. So I'm going to draw with a rectangle and kind of draw halfway down my mountain, or my halfway. In fact, and then I'm going to put in a gradient inside there. Again, to use gradients, if it's kind of hard to use gradients, you're just going to have to get used to it. You can bring up your gradient window. Makes it a little bit easier. And then you can choose gradient as the thing option right here is gradient, right? Solid, gradient. And then to give myself blue, I can drag from my swatches into my gradient there. So again, I brought up the gradient window, and to adjust the colors, I actually drag the colors from the swatches into the swatches here. And then to adjust the position, or the way, right now the gradient's going from left to right. If you want to go top to bottom, you can adjust the gradient by using the gradient tool, which is this one right here. And you can just draw a line. So I can draw a line down my space here like this, and it will then draw a line. If you want dark on the bottom, or if you want dark on top and light on the bottom, you can draw the line this way, just the opposite, right? Again, this is called the gradient tool. It's right here. You can change the position of how the gradient is by drawing a line. Again, to make the gradient is under the gradient pop-up window. If you don't see gradient pop-up window, it's always under window, gradient. Window, gradient. Window, gradient is the gradient pop-up window. And to change the little swatches that are here, you can drag from the swatches window in there. You can even put another one in there if you want. Look, I put another one in the middle there. Maybe we got a little bright white in the middle. There we go. Look at that. Woo! There's a little atmospheric perspective here when you have a little white and it looks like a little fog in there, right? So you can add more of these little buttons, little swatches in your gradient window. If you want to remove one of these from the gradient window, you can just click on it and drag straight down and it'll go away. So like I added that white one and I really didn't want that white one, so I can click on it and I can just drag down and it'll go away. You can just click below the gradient bar here, and then I can change the color of it by double clicking on it. And to remove it, I can drag straight down and it'll go away. I am using the gradient tool. Using the gradient tool, you can drag it any way you want, like that. Okay, let's do grass. I'll do grass the same way. I'll use a rectangle. I'll start from the bottom and drag up. Let's do some grass. And then we could change the gradient on that as well. Green. Green. Whoosh, that's about the same green. Let's get a little bit, there we go, kind of greenish green. Oh, that's not very different. Let's put a dark green in there. There we go. So I have some green grass. Now to make the mountains, I'm going to draw with my, I'm going to make mountains, kind of snowy peaks. I'm going to draw with my pen tool. So I'm going to use the pen tool and I'm going to make snowy peaks. Let me deselect this thing first. To make a snowy peak, I'm going to click, 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 click. Don't worry about color at this point. Click, 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 click. I always go back to the beginning, and then let's make it gray. There we go. So we got a nice sort of, doesn't look like much, but we're going to make it look better by adding 3D kind of look to it. So if you think about it, in Illustrator, to make things look 3D, one way to do that is just to put a darker color next to it. So if I have a mountainscape, you know, just with the pen tool, click, click, click. So I'm going to put another kind of color on the side over here, a light color like that on the side, and it'll give it kind of a 3D kind of look. So I'm just going to simply, right now it's kind of a gray, ugly mountain here, maybe a little bit darker. I might make it a little bit darker. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect by using Command-Shift-A. And then I'm going to use my pen tool again, and I'm going to draw kind of a triangle on the side of it like that and fill it with kind of light like that. There's 1, 2, 3. So just adding a little triangle to the side. Oh, this one I kind of messed up a little bit. But just by doing something like that, look, it kind of gives it some 3D look to it, right? Again, I just drew some triangles using the pen tool, and it makes it kind of look a little 3D. See if you can do that. I will pause for a minute. Work with the pen tool. You want to learn to use the pen tool. It is, and again, I'm going to, let's cheat a little bit. For the foreground mountains, I use the pen tool, or the pencil tool. So instead of using the pen tool, I'm going to use the pencil tool right here, pencil tool, and to make some foreground mountains, I'm going to make them kind of rolly hills. That's why I'm going to use the pencil tool. So again, I'm going to use the pencil tool, and I will draw some kind of rolling hills here towards the front. Uh-oh. What happened? Why didn't it work? It's there. No fill and no stroke. That's why. So let's give it a color. How about some brownish hill? There we go. Maybe make another one. I'm going to do one more kind of in front, a little bit smaller this time. Maybe a little bit more rough. Ah, didn't show up. Well, it doesn't have a fill, that's why. Let's make that a little bit brighter. Ooh, that's pretty ugly. Get a little. How about that? That's a little better. Okay, so I have some mountains there. Then let's put a river. Right? River might be nice. I'm going to use the pen tool again. Now, if you wanted to fill in with a color when you're using the pencil, if you double click on any of the tools, you have options inside those tools. Like if I want to draw a river here and I want the blue in a blue color as I'm drawing, if I double click on the pen tool, you say fill new pen stroke right here. Somebody's changed them. Usually I have that checked. Okay, that's why it wasn't filling when I was drawing with the pencil, is because there's an option under the pencil. If you double click here, it'll be there. And if you hit OK now, and I'm going to draw a river. Oh, let's make a river color. River color. Nice deep blue river. And I'm going to draw it kind of down the side of my thing here. There we go. There's a river. I just use the pencil tool and squiggly line. Maybe have a little waterfall here with the water coming over the edge. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? Yeah, let's put a little waterfall in there. There we go, waterfall. There we go. That's pretty ugly waterfall, but hey, we did something. Okay, so and then you say, oh well, look at the bottom here. Remember, if you print something out, it's only going to print what's inside the artboard. So if you squiggly line outside the artboard, it's okay. Not the squiggly line. If that's bothering you, you can always just put a rectangle over top of it, use a Pathfinder, and cut it out. Remember we did remove from the top. Well, that was a different class. You want me to cut that out? Is it okay? Does it bother you? Okay, so we have all this beautiful stuff. Oh, we forgot clouds. Remember how we did the clouds? Let's do clouds real quick, and then we're going to draw with symbols, like I told you, symbols. So we got kind of a base, but of course there's no trees, there's no grass, there's no rocks. So there's all kinds of trees, grass, rocks that have already been drawn for you. You can just put them in there. Okay, so symbols are already things that are already been drawn, and then you can make your own. I'll show you both ways, but let's make our clouds real quick. We got our cloud. Got a little cloud there. Uh-oh, I'm going to fill it in. Oops, let's select it. I should fill it in. There we go. Maybe white. I keep, oosh. I am struggling with my stroke and fill. There's one cloud. Let's make another cloud. Another cloud. Another cloud. And then once you're done making your clouds, how do we make them fluffy? Blur tool, remember that? So we can click on our clouds, click a cloud, select them all using the shift key, and then it's under effects, blur, Gaussian blur, and then you can tell it, you can view it, preview it. There we go, fluffy. Oh, a little bit too much. There we go, nice and soft. Look at that. Oh, they look like they're kind of boring. Now you can put a whole bunch of different ones. Maybe, you know, big ones in the front and little ones going in the back. Right? But again, after you put this shape in there, blur it a lot. Remember, if you want to change the blur, which one? I talked about this last class. How would I change the blur? Which feature would I use?
Effects.
Well, no, that'll add another one. There's a window that you bring up to change it.
Appearance.
Appearance window. Very good. On top of it. Okay, so if I want to change the blur, don't put another blur on there. If you want to change it, you click on the object that you want, and you go to the appearance window, and in the appearance window, you'll notice you see Gaussian blur right there because I have this object selected. So this object has a blur on it. And so if you click on that, it'll allow you to adjust it. So don't keep applying more and more effects. To adjust effects, you can go and apply them.
Can you just keep that again, please?
Select your object. Have your file selected?
Yeah. So one shape.
No, not under object. X. Select.
Oh, okay, that was it.
Gaussian blur. Yes. Putting something there, you just can't see it. So you double click on the pencil and make sure it says fill new pencil stroke. Whatever color that is. Okay, so this is a beautiful landscape. It's wonderful, fabulous, but it's kind of boring. There's no trees, there's no grass, there's no rocks and things. So we can add those things. Now, I mean, we could go and make our own grass, and we can go and make our own trees, but that's a lot of work. So one way to go and put things in here that you don't is already made, pre-made objects. Those pre-made objects are called symbols. To open up the symbols window, we go under Window, Symbols, and you'll notice there is. I'm going to pull it over here just by grabbing it and pulling it. You'll notice there's a flower already there, and there's some crazy shapes. But these are all kind of, you know, that doesn't look like a tree, and that doesn't look like grass. But you can find that by opening a symbols library. So there is a symbols. Again, I'm using the Window Symbols, and there is one called Symbols Library. If you click in the little 3 lines in the upper right corner of the symbols pop-up window, this little window right here, you'll see there's one that says at the very bottom, again, it's the 3 little dashes in the upper right corner of the window. You click on that, you'll notice at the very bottom there's one that says Open Symbols Library. Open Symbols Library. And you'll notice there's a whole bunch of libraries of pre-made things already for you. See, you don't even have to draw anything. Why did I have to learn the pen tool when it's already been drawn, right? So open up there, and of course the one we're probably going to use might be flowers. There's a good one. Or maybe the one that says nature. That's the one that has a whole bunch of nature stuff in it. And you can go and you'll see there's some flowers, there's some butterflies in there. Oh, there's some grass in there. There's some trees in there. There's some leaves. There's some grass. And so if I want to use one of these, and say, oh, I want these lilies right here, and I want to put them in my water, because this looks like water lily kind of thing, I can drag it from the symbols library onto the screen, and it'll put it on there. And they work like any other object. You can change the size of them, and you can move them where you want. Again, to use one of these symbols, you can simply drag from there onto your screen. And let's say you want to put a rock in there. Here's a rock. There we go. Oof, there's a rock. Zoom in a little bit here. I put the rock over top of my lily here. There we go. There's a rock. Maybe another rock. Maybe put one in the river there. Make that a big one. Water's rushing around it. There we go. There's another rock. Put one over there. Ooh, that's a pretty big one there. Some rocks. Rocks. So you can drag out there. But that takes a lot of work dragging, especially if I was going to do grass. Can you imagine trying to drag a bunch of grass out? So there's a better way. There's a better way. And that better way is by using something called the Symbol Sprayer tool. And what the Symbol Sprayer tool does is it allows you to kind of like, it's like spray paint. You can spray paint the objects onto your screen. So I can just go and spray paint a bunch of trees all at one time. How you use it is I'm going to try the trees. Let me move my window around a little bit. Here we go. So let's say I want to put a bunch of pine trees over here, and you'll notice there is a pine tree symbol right here. I'm going to click on the pine tree symbol. To paint with the pine trees, I can use this sprayer tool. It looks like kind of looks like a spray paint can over here. It's called the Symbol Sprayer Tool. It's right here. If I click on that, it's right here. It's Symbol Sprayer Tool. Again, I chose my symbol, trees. I choose the Symbol Sprayer Tool, and then I go to my screen and I'm just gonna paint, and it paints a bunch of trees. Ooh, look at that, bunch of trees. How about a bunch more? There we go. It keeps adding to the same one. Again, it's called the Symbol Sprayer Tool. It's right here. It looks like a spray can. When you're done spraying, if they're too big, you can change the size of them. You can make them smaller. There we go. Move them around. Move them. There we go. There we go. Oh, there we go. That looks pretty good. Hey, you can duplicate them too. There we go. Make some more. There we go. Okay. So you can change the size. In addition, there's a whole bunch of ways of adjusting your symbols even after you've sprayed. If you hold the mouse down over the Symbol Sprayer Tool, you'll see there's a Symbol Shifter Tool, Symbol Scruncher Tool, Symbol Sizer Tool, Symbol Spinner Tool, Symbol Stainer Tool, Symbol Screener Tool, Symbol Style Tool. Each one of these you can use to apply to a symbol after you've drawn it. So let's say I wanted to kind of shift these trees so some are bent, right? So I would use this one called the Symbol Shifter Tool. And if I go over to my trees, let me zoom in so you can see the effect. I'm going to zoom in here. Again, the second one in that list is called the Symbol Shifter Tool. And if I go, you got to select your symbol first. Let me click on my trees. Then go to the tool and then try it. You'll notice it'll start moving them around. You see how they're moving around inside there as I'm moving it around? It's shifting them around. Again, the one I'm using is the Symbol Shifter Tool. Try the Symbol Scruncher Tool. I think this is the one that would actually change some. Oh, there's a sizer right there. So maybe you want some big trees and then some small trees. Whoosh! That's too big. They're making some big. And so there was a sizer one. Oh, Scruncher probably makes some smaller ones. Oh, there it is. See how it scrunches them down? Oh, there's an earthquake going on somewhere in there. So again, select your symbol. Notice how, though, when you draw with the Symbol Sprayer Tool, it groups them all together. Okay, they're all grouped together. You can split them apart and start using them as individual objects if you want. Okay, so let's say you want to just move some of these trees here, and they're all stuck on top of each other, and they're all kind of grouped together. You use an option called Expand, and that will split them up into individual objects. So again, I have this trees all selected here. They're all selected right here. If I go up underneath Object, you'll notice there's one called Expand. What the Expand will do is then split them up into individual objects. So you go under Object, Expand, and it comes up with a message. Hey, you want to change object fill? Yes, yes. Just hit OK. And notice now they're all individual. Of course, the problem is you can't use the Symbol Scruncher Tool on this now because it doesn't see them as a team. It sees them as individual.
So you do a select first on the group and then you...
Yeah, select whatever group and then go Object, Expand. Now, it still sees them as a group. If I click off and then click on, it still groups them. So in order to select individual ones, you have to ungroup then. Ungroup. Then click off and on, and now you can move them around as individuals. Okay, so you have to do two things. You have to expand to split them up into individual objects, but they're still seen as a group, and then you have to go ungroup, and then you can move them around individually. And you can probably do the same thing with the grass, too. You want to draw some grass along my riverbank? Yes. You want to draw some grass along your riverbank. I can choose the grass, go to my Symbol Sprayer Tool, and if you double click on the Symbol Sprayer Tool, it actually has options. some of those options are how big is the brush going to be. The intensity is how many things it's putting down. Oh, no, that's the simple density is how many you're putting down. So there's actually a bunch of options in here that you can use to adjust how it sprays. I don't know how each and every one of them works. You would have to go through and try them, spend a couple hours. Perfect weekend thing. It's going to rain all weekend. Go inside here, open up your simple sprayer tool, see which ones do what. I don't know what they all do. Again, I'm going to do the grass, and I'm still doing trees. Why do I got trees? I wanted my grass. Grass, come on, let's draw. There we go. Here's some grass. Grass, grass, grass.
Under the sizing tool, how do you make it go smaller instead of larger?
The scruncher one, this one, the symbol scruncher. Scruncher, I believe, makes things smaller. Scruncher. Was that what you were asking? Yeah. Scrunch, I guess, is small.
You can't change the color of the symbols, can you?
Yeah. Let me demonstrate that for everybody in a minute. Can you click off somewhere outside? Anyway, yeah. Not the picture. There you go. Because they were all selected still. So a lot of things you gotta click off and on. Okay, how about if you want to adjust the symbol itself, there is a way to do that. Not easy though. So let's zoom in. I'm going to zoom in on one of my symbols here. So we've already did what? Expand. We expanded this, right? So it's a symbol, and then I also went ungroup so I can. So here's the symbol itself. Here's the original right here. So if I want to adjust the original symbol, I need to go under Object, Expand again. So notice I have the symbol selected. I go under Object, Expand, and I hit OK. And it then splits this up into individual objects. So I did individual objects. And once they're individual objects, you can then go and start selecting things. So let's say I wanted to make the trees, the highlight on the tree a little brighter. I would use the direct selection tool, and I would click on. Oh, let's click on, now I can click on one of these and chase it. Well, well, it depends on what you're doing. I did expand. Yeah, that was it. That's the only thing I did on this one was expand. So once you do expand, it'll see them as individual objects that you can then go and select and adjust. How about we want to make our own symbol? How about that? So let's make our own symbol. So let's say we like to make our own trees. Okay, we want to paint with our own tree. So let's say we wanted a little tropical tree. Let's make ourselves a little pine tree, or no, a palm tree. Let's make a palm tree, and we'll make that palm tree a symbol. Okay. So to make your own symbol, of course, you draw your object. I'm just going to draw a little palm tree here. Here's my stem. Let's make that kind of palm tree color. That palm tree color. There we go. So here's a palm tree base, and then let's zoom in a little bit, and we'll make ourselves some foliage for our palm tree using our pencil tool. So again, I'm going to kind of draw a fronds? Is that what do they call the leaves of a pine tree or a palm tree? Fronds, that's it. Fronds? Fronds? So here's one. Let's do another one. Let's get it to go down. There's one. 2. Let's do one back here. 3. There we go. Beautiful palm tree. It's not quite beautiful, but good enough for now. Okay, so to make your own symbol, and notice a lot of these symbols have multiple objects. They're not just one object, right? They're multiple. Like there's 3 pine trees in there, right? And there's a bunch of blades of grass in there. But you can do an individual object, or you know, like I could do more than one. I don't like this stem being so big. I'm gonna shrink it down a little bit, make it a little thinner. That's a little better. Maybe make it a little smaller. There we go. Maybe straighten it out a little bit. Okay, that's better. Okay, so to make this a symbol, I'm going to select all the objects, and then in this symbol window, in the symbol pop-up window, in the upper corner, remember there's options in the upper corner here. If I click up there, you'll see there's the first option says new symbol right there. So again, I selected all my objects in my palm tree. I go to the symbols pop-up window. In the symbols pop-up window, I go to new symbol, and I choose that. And it's ask you to give it a name. We're going to call it palm. Is it palm tree? Notice there's a whole bunch of options in here, and the reason why there's options in here is these options are actually used by Adobe Flash, or they don't call it Flash anymore. It's called Adobe Animate now. Okay, so these are called by Adobe Animate. So there's two options here, movie clip or there's another one there. Let's see. It's movie clip, graphic, right there, graphic. Don't use graphic. You just use movie clip the whole time. I don't even know why they even have that option anymore.
How did you get the symbols object?
To make a symbol, I select all my objects here, and in the pop-up window for the symbols pop-up window right here, the very upper right corner here, you can right-click there and say new symbol right there. And then you give it a name, and then use movie clip. You're going to want dynamic symbol, static symbol. I'm not really sure the difference between that. And then 9 slice scaling. You don't have to worry about that. That was a way of scaling objects in Flash. And align to pixel grid. I don't need that one right now. And then when you're done, you hit OK, and it's a symbol. Okay, you notice it pops up in your symbol window here. So if you wanted to use that over and over again, I can actually drag it from here onto my thing, and I can duplicate that a million times. Oops, I just duplicated the wrong thing. I can duplicate that, right? I can also use the symbol sprayer tool to spray that. If I want to spray a bunch of palm trees down, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. Nope. Oh, I've got the scruncher on. Symbol sprayer tool. Again, I have my new palm tree I just made. I have my symbol sprayer tool, and I can spray a bunch of palm trees on there, as many as I want. There we go, whole palm field. Okay, so again, you can make your own symbol and use the symbol sprayer tool to spray. Let's put some over here. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, let me pause for just a second, and then we will. One way to go about it would be to use the place feature. So I think we used place to place an image, right, a picture in there before, right? So I can also go under File, Place, and I can go and find an Illustrator file if I got one on here somewhere. I don't know. I got a pretty messy desktop here. I got a pear. Here's my pear. I don't know if I have an did I draw an animal? Didn't I draw like a lizard or something? Did I draw a turtle? Maybe it's on here somewhere. Hold on, let me look for my turtle.
Rabbit.
Turtle. I don't know if I saved my turtle. Okay, how about we just put a pear in there? We'll assume this pear is an animal. So I could take my pear, okay, and I can say, now look down here, you got link. If you want it to be linked to the original one, so that if you change the original one, it updates in yours, right? You can do something like that by using the link feature. If you use link, it'll actually make a reference to the original one. But of course, you'd have to keep both of them together all the time. I don't know what show import options is. I'm going to check it to see what it does. So I choose my Illustrator pair, I hit place, and it's going to come up with these options, I guess, since I chose that option there. This option is asking you how to crop it, because I have a pair that has larger, maybe visible area. You got artwork, you have crop, you have trim, you have bleed, you have media. I'm just going to say art, and I'm going to hit OK. And uh-oh, there was a problem. Uh-oh. But that's okay. I'm going to put it in anyways. I was able to get around the problem, maybe. No. It's not going to let me do it. Oh, there goes a pair. I finally got it in there. It allowed me to draw it in there. And once it's in there, it kind of sees it as a separate object. And you can't really alter it unless you do what if I really wanted to alter this pair after I imported it into Illustrator. If I really wanted to alter this. And the reason why it probably gave me errors is because I put a bunch of effects on here. And the effects don't translate well. Okay, right? Remember I put like texture on there, I put some noise on there, right? And I put some blur in there. And those kind of things don't translate well from one document to the other. Especially if you're going from one version of Illustrator to a different version of Illustrator.
Should you flatten the image then?
You could turn all the symbols off. I probably would do that. You can rasterize it. There's ways of getting rid of the symbols. You got things under here called rasterize. It turns it into an object with dots, like a. You can also, yeah, there's ways around that problem. But again, you can bring it in. If you wanted to alter it after you brought it in, like let's say I love my pair. Let's say this was an animal and I wanted to change the color of it after I brought it in. You would have to use the expand again. Remember the expand under object expand? You would use object. So just like we did with the symbol so that you could change the symbol, right? You can do that with object expand. Oh, didn't do it. Object expand. Didn't do it. Object expand. Didn't do it. I guess you can't change it. How about change the original Illustrator file? How about that?
If the object comes in with a white background and you want to get rid of the white background and just keep the animal, the pair.
Well, it depends on how you built it. Because if, let's say if I built that pair, let me open this pair up. If I opened up this pair, right now there's nothing outside. So if it came in with a white background, you might have had a white box in the back, maybe. I don't know. It should come in with nothing behind it. It might depend upon how you imported it, though. Too. Yeah, you're right. It might depend upon if you go under File, Place, and I chose my pair. Let me choose my pair again. I chose art here. Maybe if you choose, I don't know, maybe you chose one of these other ones, crop. I'm still having an error here. Oh, that didn't work. I don't know, maybe there's a white background on the original is what I'm thinking. But it should come in with a transparent background. So the possibilities. And of course, you can find a bunch of symbols on the internet for Illustrator already made for you. You just go out there into the world, you know where the world is. It's on Google. We just go to Google and we type in Illustrator symbols, and you can find symbols. Where's the best free Illustrator symbols? There we go. Thousands of Illustrator shapes. How about that? What's that one? Oh, there we go. There we go. Thousands of them. There you go. Thousands of them. I don't know. Be careful what you click on the internet, though. What's this one? 9 free Illustrator CS brushes and symbols. Right? There's some symbols. Brushes, I don't know. Let me find one we can try. Symbols for Illustrator. Let's see this. Okay, here we go. Here's some symbols. It looks like these look legit. Hopefully they're legit. So let's see. Let's try people. Oh, that's kind of cool. We got helicopters and stuff. Oh, I gotta pay. Only $89. No. Sure, you can do that. You're asking me to do that?
How do you do that?
No, it's just like putting the pair in. Yeah, let me see if I can find a symbol so I can show you how to install a symbols library. Let me find one if I can. Let's see. How about, fishing? No, do I have to pay for this too? $10. How about, maybe I need to search for free. There's free. How come I don't got free? I want free. Oh, this one says free. Let's see if it's really free though. Are these really free? Let's see. These are pretty ugly though. Maybe that's why they're free, because they're ugly. Pretty ugly. No. What am I looking for? I don't know. I'm wary of this kind of download there. I'm not doing it. I don't know. You can look and find your own. Now, they're just Illustrator files, so if you find one, you can just open them up. Okay, here's another way you can get symbols. I'm gonna quit Illustrator real quick. This is my last demonstration, and I'm gonna go leave. Sorry, I got one more class. Last day. So excited. I don't like working at night. It's tough working at night. Let me save my thing for just a minute. Save. What am I doing? Landscape. And the reason why is I'm going to install a font, and Illustrator can't take advantage of that font if you install it while the program's running. So I'm going to quit Illustrator, and another great place to find symbols would be in a font. Where can I download fonts? Of course, dafont.com is the best place. If you go to dafont.com, you get all the fonts. And where do they have little symbols, little animals and things like that? Well, they have animals over here. Nature. Oh, here's nature. There we go. There's some mountains. Oh, here's some trees right there. Look at that. Let's say I wanted to use one of these trees. Now, of course, they're not colored. They're just black and white. But at least it's a starting shape. It's a starting shape. So let's say I like these trees and I want to use them. Again, I'm on a website called dafont.com. I've quit Illustrator so I can install a font. I can download the trees here. It's going to download it as a zip file. So to install fonts, and I haven't given you my font lecture. Someday, next week we'll do fonts and how to install them. Again, don't worry, I'll talk about different formats of fonts. But right now I wanted to talk about symbols, and another great way to get symbols is to use a font that is made of symbols. In this case, if I download this tree one that I just made here, and it downloads it, it's going to download it into my downloads folder. So I go to my downloads folder, downloads. Here's my trees that I just downloaded right off the DA font. I can double click on it to uncompress it. It gives me a TTF, which stands for True Type Font. You will learn about that in another lecture. True Type Font right there. If I double click on that, it's going to ask me to install the font into the font suitcase, which is the font folder. So if I install the font now, it'll install it into the font folder inside of Illustrator, or inside of the program, into the computer. There's a font folder in there. So it installs my trees in there. I can go back to my Illustrator file that I was working on. Again, I had to quit Illustrator because once you start Illustrator, look, it starts loading things. You can see it loading things. It loads the fonts in. See it right here? It loads the fonts in. So that's why you have to install the font while the program's not running.
It automatically picks the right directory to put the font in.
It'll put it in the font suitcase, yes. So if I open this up now, my landscape, and I wanted to put those trees in there, I could go to my text tool, right? And I could click with my text tool, and instead of using this font here, I can go to my trees. They should be in there somewhere. Let's look for them. Trees, trees, trees. was it called? Trees. Oh, there's trees. What was it called? Anybody remember the name of the font? I don't even remember what it was called. Trees, wasn't it? Yeah, maybe it didn't work. There's a lot of fonts in here. Trees, here it is. Trees, I finally found it. I guess it was in alphabetic order. I should have started with T in the first place. So here's my trees, and so I can type on my keyboard now, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever, H, I, J, K, L, whatever. And of course it sees them as symbols, and we can make them bigger. Here's some trees, beautiful trees, there they are. And then if I want to use them and color them and do things with them, I got to convert them into objects. To convert a font into an object inside of Illustrator is underneath object, or no, under type, create outlines. And if I go under type, create outlines, it'll convert them into objects. Once they're objects, I can then ungroup them, and then it'll see them as individual objects. There's a tree, and I can make it green if I want. There it is, it's a green. Now it doesn't have any shape, it's just a plain tree, you know, it doesn't have any other objects, like these ones all have multiple objects. But then I can take that and put it into my symbols if I want, make it a symbol, and call that a tree, and say okay, and now, oh, there's my tree there, and I can spray with that tree now, and I can make multiple trees, there they are. Okay, so you can go, there's a lot of different shapes already available for you. You can download symbols, you can use a font and convert that font into a symbol. I know I did it quick, we'll do it again next week, don't worry.
I'm glad you recorded this.
Yeah, I know I did it quick. We'll do fonts and everything next week. Okay, so I'm going to stop now, let you work the rest of the class. I'll come and help you. Let me pause this, stop this.